Today on Top Gear Rearview, Jeff's new exhaust sounds pretty good.
So it was just like...
And you better hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts.
Hello and welcome to Top Gear Rearview. I'm Jeff, that's Brady. We are looking tonight at Series 3, Episode 3 of the new Top Gear.
Episode 3 aired on the 9th of November in 2003, and the star in a reasonably priced car was Rob Brydon.
The first Welshman.
First Welshman.
Our segments tonight are the new Bentley Continental GT. A sort of challenge, more like really informational post on
infomercial.
On what to do if you're in a car that is sinking in a body of water of sorts. A review of the new Subaru Legacy Outback, the results of the Top Gear Motoring survey, and wrapping things up, a Saab 9.5 Aero sort of test versus a Harrier, sort of lap time, weird segment. So kind of an oddball episode we got here.
It was kind of a rough one. A lot of hyperbole in the car reviews, a little less substance, especially the Outback review.
Yeah, that was an oddball. We will get to it. So let's start things off with this Continental GT, which I believe you like. Yes.
You know, it grew on me when I first saw it. I thought it was a bit gearish, but it's another in a long list of when you stick to a design principle, especially like not changing the car whatsoever for like 15 years, then it starts to grow on you a little bit.
Agreed. It becomes, the standard of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Jeremy takes it to Budleigh Salterton, wherever the hell that is.
Apparently, it's a little
village,
retirement village on the Devon coast.
Yeah.
He called it the British Riviera, which I think is funny.
It is. This car, if you remember just a few episodes ago, we were talking about the Phaeton and that crazy W12, and this one has a 6-liter W12 as well with 2 turbos attached, giving it 550 horsepower, which actually seems a little small given like that big of an engine and the bonus turbos. Yeah,
12 cylinders, 2 turbos, you should be getting more than 550. It might just be how back in 2003, 550 was a hell of a lot of horsepower.
Yes, it was.
It's just exploded in like the last 5-6 years where production challengers.
Get that in a Mustang.
just a run-of-the-mill mid-level Mustang, 400 horsepower. You know, it's the numbers are going crazy like they did in the 60s here in the States at least. And so 550 seems deflated when actually in retrospect, I mean, look, the Enzo had like 550 horsepower, didn't it?
Yeah, at the time, this is appropriate. I think this is about right.
Yeah, it's a big car. 550 horsepower only gets you 198 miles an hour. I don't know how they didn't tweak it to get 200.
I know, right? If you're like 198, come on, put a splitter on it.
Why do you stop at 198? You need 200. You're going to want that too. You're really going to want that too.
Just drive it down a hill.
That being said, 0 to 60 in 4.7, which is ludicrously fast for a car this size.
Faster than our 575M Maranello.
That's because the 575M Maranello is a pretty garbage car, turns out.
110,000 pounds, which is not crazy.
No, I mean, it doesn't seem terrible. I think at the time, I sometimes I have to put things into my mind. I get it a lot with Top Gear when they talk about differences in car prices being 1,000 pounds. Like, oh, it's a whole 1,000 pounds less? That's amazing. And I think to myself, well, that's not very much. But in terms of dollars, that's like $500. Like, a pound is worth more than $1. And at this time, a pound is worth $2. And so...
Yeah, $2,000, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, $2,000 price difference, I don't know, it still seems like that's kind of a wash in my mind still. So maybe there's just a little bit more of a, maybe British people are tighter than 2 coats of paint, Jeff.
Perhaps they are.
But 110,000 pounds is a lot of money still.
Yeah, it is, but it is a lot of car. That's 12 cylinders in a W formation for reasons, and 2 turbos.
Yes.
God, I feel like that'd be such a wide engine. Like, do they do it transverse? Because that'd be hilarious. They don't, but it'd be really funny.
It's still, yeah. I mean, it's still. So, I mean, it's a rear-wheel drive. I'm sure it's not transverse.
It is not. It is all-wheel drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's an all-wheel drive. I'm sure it's not transverse.
One of the interesting things they say about it is it had the biggest brakes ever fitted to any car. And I had to Google that because I was like, that can't be true. At the time, that was true.
Really?
Yeah, it was on 20-inch wheels, and the brakes were 420 millimeter rotors up front, which is 16 and a half inches, which is goddamn gigantic.
It's filling every square inch of the inside of those rims with those with the red Brembo calipers.
Oh my god!
And the rotors are enormous. It is a boat of a car. You need a lot to slow it down, especially when you're going all 198 miles an hour. But those are ludicrously big brakes.
Oh yeah, the rears were something like in the like high threes, so they were still like in the neighborhood of 15 plus inches, which is just crazy.
If those were the biggest brakes at the time, are they no longer?
I didn't look at that. I'm guessing they are not. There's got to be some. I got to imagine like the Hellcats have some monster brakes because those things ain't light. But yeah, they were
stock brakes.
You just need to go fast. You don't need to stop fast. So Clarkson had some interesting things to say. I believe he mentioned it being kind of cramped inside, and I looking at it, I was like, it kind of is. I did not like those armrests. How they were like they go down kind of at an angle, and then you have to go up and then down again to go flat. Like, what the hell is the point of that?
Yeah, it puts you in a really weird driving position, which is not great for a car that really. I mean, it's a big luxury Grand Tour, obviously, but it's made to go fast and it's made to be driven, and that seems like an awful position to be in, where your arms kind of duck flapping out because you can't set it all the way down. Even when he put them all the way up, they didn't go all the way up out of the way. They were still kind of pressing into the driver's space a little bit. It looked like.
Just got to rip them off, throw them out.
Just garbage interior design, Bentley. Bad coach making, which is I know what you're known for.
Belgian guy. He was, I think, mostly, he was mostly complimentary of it. It didn't sound like it was a terrible car, but he said it lacks sparkle.
It lacks sparkle. It's not something you're going to want, Jeff. You're going to want some sparkle.
You really will. Cars without sparkle are just no sparkle party.
I don't know if this gives James May the fizz. I can't wait till we get to that conversation.
Oh, yeah. It's, I don't know when that actually comes in, but he kind of hinted at it last time. He's the last episode 2, which you can find on your podcatcher of choice. He would talk about the Boxster, and he said he had a sense that the car was smiling, and I was like, "Ooh, is that the fizz?" No, maybe not.
No, just a smile. It's a bit of a grin.
Yeah.
Disappointingly, Jeff, they did not put this car around the track. I'm sure at some point they do.
It's coming,
but apparently not right now for reasons unknown. So we don't get to see.
I think he was. I think he had one of the earliest versions. So it was. I think that could have been it. Now I kind of want to see. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here and see if I can find it on this.
Jeff's going into the future.
I'm going rogue. They only put around the Super Sports.
Okay, so it's a version of it.
Fast as hell. Oof. All right. Now I'm curious what the Super Sports is compared to the regular Continental GT. Faster.
It's probably just faster.
That's most of it.
More go fast, less go slow.
Yeah, it's I think it's lighter. It can run on E85. It's the same 6-liter W12. They did crank the horsepower up a bit.
What, to 599?
621.
Oh, they went above the threshold. Okay.
They did, and 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
That's a big car to go that fast.
That is so fast for that thing. It can hit 205.
Yeah. They put 70 more horsepower in it?
Wow.
Like got 7 more miles an hour?
That sounds about right. You get diminishing returns up that high. But,
yeah, I suppose so.
Dude, it could do 1.29 Gs in the corner.
Big old tires.
Oof. Yeah. All right. So that is the one they put around. I'm not going to say the lap time, but it's fast.
It's fast.
It's fast.
Well,
that's coming in a long while.
Due to the truncated nature of this review, there's not much more we have to say about it, is there, Jeff?
And that's about it.
Let's go to the news.
the news. I don't have too much on this one either.
I've got a quick one. They commented that Nissan was doing a recall.
Mm-hmm.
And they were excited by the size of it.
Yeah, it was a big one. And I liked how much talk there was about postage.
A lot of postage talk. Who's gonna?
It really fits with this episode. Like, what are we gonna dwell on here? Postage.
Who's gonna mail out all those letters? Yeah, there
How
was
many stamps were we gonna buy? 2.5 million.
2.5 million car recall. I believe just in the UK is the largest recall in just UK.
No, I think that had to be global.
Okay, so that makes it even more ridiculous. Jeff, I wanted to look at 2.5. Seems quaint in this day and age after
with Takada
unintended acceleration and whatnot. But the Takada, I think, has been the biggest recall so far.
It's like 45 million.
I read just today on Consumer Reports that it was 37 million vehicles, but 50 million individual inflators. So some cars apparently replacing more than one. I was impacted by this recall. Jeff, were you impacted by this recall?
I was. I have taken my Honda Fit in.
Yep. How many airbags do you have to get replaced?
I think they just did passenger on that one. I've had other cars that have been affected by it, but I don't own them anymore. So
someone else's problem.
Yep, enjoy that.
Someone else's rolling Claymore. Mine was just the passenger as well. But 37 million individual vehicles were impacted, is what is expected from it.
Yeah, that's bonkers. So a little bit less than that. So the other thing they brought up in the news here was this crazy wackadoo Dodge Tomahawk motorcycle.
I remember when this thing first was released to the masses. I was like, I don't ride motorcycles.
I know. Well, it's funny because like there was an argument on the show, as was there on the internet and in like the other word. It's got 4 wheels. It's not a motorcycle. It's a car.
You lean in it to turn it?
You do.
It's a motorcycle.
You counter steer like a motorcycle. It's definitely a motorcycle. The funny thing that I love is that Dodge was like, hypothetical top speed of 300 to 420 miles an hour. Shut up.
Get the hell out of here.
No road tests of the Tomahawk have ever been published.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, I mean, I like it. I
don't think have you ever even seen it drive?
No. I cannot imagine driving this thing because it has the 500 horsepower 8.3 liter V10 that apparently you lay on top of.
Yeah, you get all up on it.
Yeah. Now I'm kind of curious what the thing weighs. Let's see if I can find that right here. Oh, I can. 1,500 pounds.
That's extremely heavy.
For comparison, I have a little Yamaha WR250R. It weighs in at about 300 pounds. I have picked that thing up one-armed before.
Here's a video of it rolling down the road.
Did the person immediately die?
Person did not immediately die.
Are you on Faces of Death? No,
I am not. Though they are not turning.
Yeah, I don't know if you can. The interesting thing I found with this, so this was meant to be like, I mean, it's marketing, and it was really to generate media buzz, and it sounds like it was a resounding success.
Oh yeah, for sure. You take the two biggest things about concept cars: craziness and Viper engine. Just jam Viper engine in something, it's gonna be a good deal.
Yeah, I just can't imagine. The funny thing is they sold they call them replicas on the interwebs of this one through Neiman Marcus. Did you see that?
I did not. They actually sold versions of this.
They sold, there's no good numbers. They sold up to 9 of them. You got to guess at what this thing would cost?
Oh, man. I would say more than a Viper.
Way more.
Okay.
$555,000.
So like 7 Vipers.
Oh, I'm really bummed I've never seen one on the road now. If there's 9 roaming streets out there. I mean, there's 9 just in a tree. Same tree.
Nine rich people have died, is what you're saying.
Exactly. They were like, woo, wheelie time. Oh, no. I have ended my life.
Yeah, I don't think this thing would have the grip to wheelie.
It's true.
There's no way it would have the grip with the moment arm on that back wheel with 1,500 pounds of motorcycle in front of it
There's
to
two
lift it
wheels
with
in the
that.
back.
It's still that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That'd be like a Dodge Viper wheeling.
I don't know. I think I've seen a Dodge. I'm gonna Google that now. I'm putting it in the show notes. Check the show notes. We'll find a Dodge Viper wheelie video.
Jeff, have you died in a sinking car?
Not recently.
apparently, people tell me, Jeff, it's very common.
I guess it's so. According to I'm on Art of Manliness, which is one of my favorite podcasts and has a very good website. I'm going to throw a link up in the show notes. Over 10,000 water immersion accidents happen every year.
Okay, I mean I can see that.
Yeah, a lot of water out there.
Probably not that many deaths.
No, but a lot. I think it's something like 10% of drownings happen in a car.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is good consumer and health and safety advice from your friendly friends over at Top Gear.
Mm-hmm.
They put Richard Hammond, Mr. Accidents Don't Happen to Me.
Never, ever, ever, ever. I don't know, water at least.
Into, oh, God, do you remember that video of that Bugatti Veyron just jamming into a lake in Texas?
Pelican. Yeah. Insurance fraud.
All right. Just jamming into that lake. They put Richard Hammond. They send him off to some. It looks like movie studio stunt coordinator, stunt video, something, stunt shop, where they tell him to go through a couple techniques of trying to get out of a submerged car. And so he does. That's what the segment is. They give us another bullcrap cliffhanger thing like they did last episode.
As they do, yeah.
With the Volvo over the cars. I don't know why. It's not like there's more commercials for us to watch. It's not a stupid American show with our commercials. And it's like, well, stay tuned after the break. They're just making us wait to tell us this stuff. But they get them all trained up, and then they drop a Vauxhall Carlton.
It is a Vauxhall Carlton, yes.
Yeah, which comes up later again, actually.
Yeah. This one's named after the butler in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I believe.
No,
it's not the butler. It's
that
the
was
brother,
his brother.
Yeah, brother, not
his
father.
brother, who was played by the guy who played Gandalf.
Walter Mondale. It's Alfonso Ribeiro.
So he's in a Vauxhall Carlton. God, it's just an awful car name.
It's such a bad car name.
And they got him out of a crane over a pool of water, and they drop him in. And everything that I've heard everywhere is that you have to wait. If you can't immediately get the door open or the window, is you have to wait for the pressures to equalize. Now, what Hammond commented on is he had to wait until the car hit the bottom for that to happen.
And like not even just when it hit the bottom, but like a few seconds after.
Yeah, which I've never heard that particular part of it. If you want to get more about the submerging a car and trying to get out of it, go check out Mythbusters. They do like 2 or 3 episodes on it. It's really good. There's a YouTube channel, not to take any ad revenue away from Discovery, called Mythbusters for the Impatient, which I highly recommend. It cuts out all of the crap and it condenses every 30-minute Mythbusters episode into like 4 minutes, and it's just all the stuff you want to see. So go check it out, but watch them do it. But yeah, it took Hammond a very long time to get out of the car.
Yeah.
So that time he didn't try to open the car door right away. He just waited for it to equalize. The second time, as soon as he hit the water, he opened the car door. And that seems like the best thing, is even if you're still strapped in, try to open the door somehow.
Now it is, I did some research after this to see what the general consensus was. And that is, so basically if it's just you in the car, that's what you should do. Open that door as soon as you hit the water.
Okay.
If you have passengers, break the window.
What is the reasoning behind that?
The car will fill with water slower because a lot of times your window line's still above water.
Okay.
And you can help your passengers, especially if they're kids, get out faster. So you can help them get their seatbelt off, help them kind of usher them out the window, and then get out. So
that's right, because if you get out of a car while it's sinking, you ain't getting back into that car.
Absolutely not. Yeah. So it's like, I mean, if you open the door, you're letting water in. Absolutely, for sure, and it will sink faster. So again, just you, that's fine, because you're going to get out, you're going to be clear of it. But you got kids in the back, break that window, break their window too, help them get out, and then get yourself out.
I'm glad I live in the high desert, Jeff, as I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah,
Not too many lakes around Colorado.
we got rivers and stuff. They're pretty shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all. That was a weird segment.
It was. I mean, they have it listed on the Wikipedia page under challenges, sort of. Which, okay.
We need some real challenges here.
I challenge you to stay alive.
Oh, good job.
Success.
Yep.
So how about that Mr. Rob Brydon, who I still am not sure I understand who he is or why he's important.
Just another British celebrity. He's a comedy guy. He's pretty much everywhere over there. He's
Welsh.
He's a rather famous British comedian. I don't think he does the stand-up thing. I'm not sure about that. Please don't call me out on that. But he's an actor that just does.
On that. I'm pretty sure he does.
Does he?
Maybe not. No, it seems like he had one show that they had some clips from called Marion and Jeff, spelled like me, Jeff, because I'm British, and it was a little funny, but talking about fighting terrorists with machetes. Okay, don't hit your face on the steering wheel.
He did his first stand-up as himself in 2009-10. So at the time of this showing, he did not.
Not a stand-up. Fair enough. Okay.
So the interview is not much to be said, but there is a long list of bad cars in his history. This is one of the first thorough deep dives that Top Gear does about someone's car history, which I think is pretty funny. So
all right.
I have 6 cars written down, Jeff.
I got 5 because I drifted off a little in the middle of this.
Let's go ahead and see which one is the worst in your mind. So we're going to go through the 6.
It's the Vauxhall Carlton.
It's it's a VW Polo.
Yeah.
Not bad. Probably not going to be the worst. Vauxhall Carlton. Okay, up there. Front runner, at least. A Ford Sierra.
Ooh, I missed that one.
A Ford Escort. That one's fine. A Mitsubishi Charisma, which I had to look up.
Yeah, it's not even spelled right. It's like they forgot the H, so it's just like, this car is my car.
What a ho-hum looking car.
Yeah, that might be it. Shared its chassis with the first gen S40. Volvo.
Never mind. Already better.
Yep. Okay.
Its model name was derived from a combination of the English word car and the Greek word charisma. What do you call it? Charisma.
Charisma. Oh. He just misspelled charisma. Got it.
Nope, it's a combination. Greek charisma, meaning divine gift. And then an A4 convertible, which, yeah, sure, that's fine.
A4 is fine.
So it's a toss-up, Jeff, between the Vauxhall Carlton
and the charisma.
Oh, my God. It's got to be the Carlton.
It's so bad.
It's got to be the
garbage name.
In the Opel version was called the Record, but with a K. But the Australian Holden version was called the Commodore. That's a good name. Commodore's a good name.
They should have done it with a W.
Womador?
No, the Record. WRECORD.
I like Womador better.
Fair enough. That's so Australian too, because it's Holden.
Yeah,
it's like a wombat stole my Womador.
This is a thin episode, folks. You got to give us some rope here.
We apologize for the just garbage jokes here. We gotta fill in.
Mr. Brydon did a very fast 148.6. He nailed it because he's not a very good driver, he said, out of his own admission. Yeah. I don't believe him.
He is.
He did.
And he commentated his own lap too.
As Jeff, as you.
Yeah. No, I fair enough, Mr. Brydon. You can wheel.
That is a 148 without the points is tied with JK, and
it was a 148.6. So I believe that officially put him behind Mr. JK and Mr. Jody Kidd. Mrs. Jody Kidd.
That's right. So a 148 on its own would have been tied with them, but it was slower than theirs, so they can rest easy.
Yeah. So he didn't beat him, but that was a damn good lap.
He was proper chuffed. He was excited about his lap time.
As
That's
he
probably
should be.
but I mean, JK was excited by his lap time, but JK knew. He knew. He's like, yeah, I got 148. But Rob Brydon was surprised. That lap snuck up on him.
It did. Stupid JK. JK will be back next episode, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Come back to get his title back.
Mr. K.
Speaking of rich British people, Jeff.
Yeah, aristocrats. I just don't know what to make of this. This is another interesting one because I owned this generation of Outback.
Yeah, well, you're
And I loved
American.
it.
You're the American aristocracy. Well,
Apparently.
I don't think it was anything but a rave review.
He
from
enjoyed
James
it, yes.
May.
Yeah, and he said
But
it would last hundreds of years.
It was extremely oddly framed.
Yes, it was.
It was framed as, what car are the British aristocracy going to buy after their Range Rovers fall apart even more? Their old 80s Range Rovers. And it's going to be the Subaru Outback because it's really good, reliable, and unassuming. Kind of like a Barber jacket. I'm not
It was
sure.
agreeable.
It was in a weird way to put this review.
I feel like May in these, I mean, I guess he's been around for a full season at this point, but it's like he's still finding his groove.
Yeah, he's still trying to figure out if he's going to stick around.
Yeah. At this point, he was like, "Oh, I'm not duh." So
Made it one season. Hopefully, I can stay another one. He's not an
1.3.
integral part of the team. Yeah.
It was not a lot of stuff to say around here. They did mention the history of Subaru in the UK when they did not start importing until 1977, which, I'm going to add something completely different to this, it means they missed out entirely on the Subaru 360. Do you recall the 360?
No.
It's so pretty. They made a few different versions, but basically it was a K car. It was a tiny, tiny little thing. 1,000-pound curb weight, monocoque, swing axle rear, and it was a whopping, I believe, 356 cc two-stroke inline two-cylinder.
Wow.
Rear engine. And this one made it to the US. They made 10,000 of them for the US, and I've seen a few. They're awesome, and they are so small.
It looks extremely small.
It's like, I feel like, I mean, 3 people, if you got 3 decent sized dudes, could probably lift this thing off the ground.
It weighs 900 pounds. 2 decent sized dudes might be able to do it.
But they're pretty. Like, I really, like, if I could find one of these for a reasonable price, I would take one. So that was a bummer. That ended production in 71, which means, I mean, that looks like a British car.
Because it was so light, Jeff, it was exempt from safety regulations.
That's the problem.
Apparently, all of them. It has a top speed. This 360 car, way better than James's review. This is awesome. Has a top speed of 60. Also, its 0 to 60 time is 37 seconds. 0 to top speed in 37
seconds. Less than a minute. Still 2 digits.
16 horsepower.
Yeah. That's awesome. I missed that car. I wish I could own one. Yeah, there's not a lot. I'm trying to think of what it would have been, an early legacy, some early wagon that would have made its way to the UK.
Yeah.
So let's see. From the 70s, this was 77. They would have had the Loyal, the Brat, perhaps, and I do not know the Rex. The Rex is a model I'm not familiar with. Oh, it's a tiny little hatchback. Brap. Subaru Sumo. The Subaru Sumo is rad. It is a little, like, microvan.
Ho!
They would have gotten some, not bad vehicles. I mean, the Brat is pretty rad still. Yes, it is.
I agree. I agree, Jeff, it is. So, Jeff, let's move on to what was a very large segment of the show.
Yes.
While it might be quite difficult for us to extend it, portray it to you on the podcast, but it was the results of their Great British Motoring Survey. Now, previously they had asked a few times for people to type in, email in, whatever, go online and fill out their survey for rating the reliability of British cars and the service provided by the dealer networks of those cars. It's been going on for maybe half a season or so. Yeah. They've been doing that. Well, the results are in. And we don't have much to say. They go around the audience asking people what cars they have and then finding them on the list. But I thought it was a bit of a surprise on the top of the list, Jeff.
Because it was a lie.
The Jag XJ?
No.
Not at all. Never.
No.
People in Britain love their Jags. Last place was a VW Charan, which was a people carrier.
Yeah.
Turns out the German car's surprisingly low.
Not
there
so
might
good.
be a little anti-German bias in this self-reported survey. Maybe because their parts are expensive, I'm not sure. Or maybe British people don't really like German people. But all three of the Mercedes, the A, C, and E-Class are all in the bottom 10.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's pretty bad. They go ask people. One thing I wanted to note here, Jeff, is they go ask people what cars they drive and find them on the list. And the first thing they go talk to says, "What do you drive, sir?" And he goes, 355. And it's like a Ferrari. And they look up and
A Ferrari.
Yeah.
There's an interesting statistic on Ferrari. What is it, James?
90% of people who said they had a Ferrari were lying.
I'm just going to assume that extends to the entire survey, and it's just 90% of the people lied on their survey.
yeah, it's probably true. Probably
Drive a
true.
VW Charan. It's garbage.
Oh, it's awful. Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
German cars are so terrible. Jags are great though. Jags are great.
So good. It was actually just Jeremy just taking all of them.
They move on, Jeff, after that to the Cool Wall.
Yep.
Again, hard to portray on the podcast, but one quick note. The Porsche 911 GT3
Got a little awkward. A little awkward.
It was moved to Sub-Zero after some convincing. They went and asked...
Not a bad-looking lady, and that lady apparently wanted to take care of Mr. Clarkson.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you picked her up in a GT3, I suppose she would.
Obviously, he would explain the lack of a rear seat and the crazy tubage back there, and she would agree to a second date.
Do you like my tubage?
Scaffolding. That's the word I was looking for. Tubage.
Hence now known as tubage.
That was. I was
pretty,
watching that with my wife, and she was like, "Ooh, that's okay. That's weird."
It's a pretty funny segment. I laughed at
is.
it. I thought it was good. If you guys get a chance, go check it out. Quick segue. You can find all these episodes on Amazon. We are in no way affiliated with Amazon, but it's a very easy way to go find these episodes if you don't otherwise have access to, say, BBC iPlayer.
Yeah, they have series 2 through 17, and I do include a link to the current series on each of the show notes, so you can take a look there and click right through.
I guess that brings us, Jeff,
To a weird-ass segment.
to the Saab. Once again, they feel it necessary to race a car against an airplane.
Sort of.
Jeff, turns out airplanes are faster than cars. I don't know if you knew this.
Enough so to gloat at the end by just hovering. Because they're Harriers. And this is True Lies.
And one of those guys was Arnold.
Jamie Lee Curtis was this thing.
Yep. This is a review of the Saab 9.5. Jeremy
It's
is
the
the one-
9.5 Aero. Let's give it its proper due here.
Wasn't yours the 9.3 Aero?
9.2X Aero.
9.2X Aero.
Aero typically indicates turbocharging.
Okay. Previously, Saab indicated that by writing turbo on the car.
Yeah, not
Seems a little easier.
Aero, as in we shove all the arrow in there. Our turbo making an arrow going a fasto.
Hey-oh, check out that Aero.
Sweet.
This car is a bit of a bad Frankenstein. Later on, when Saab ends its run as a car manufacturer, I think they take a look back at this car in particular and have some stories about its production, manufacturing, and development?
I believe that's the 9.3 when they were talking about its history with GM. And
Mm-hmm.
the engineers were just like, yeah, we're going to use your car. And then they came back and they were like, that's not our car at all.
Well, this is, I guess, the later one, the 9.5, where it actually
bigger
is.
one, yeah.
It is just a GM car, and it kind of paid its price for it. It wasn't that great of a car. Did you see it going around the Hammerhead?
No, was it sloppy? Again, I was zoning out a little bit.
It was so sloppy. It came in oversteering, and the stick corrected it, but then immediately
it came
jammed it into understeer.
Yeah,
Just like all of the steers.
it was a hard transition.
It was a hard transition.
Yeah, it's Clarkson mentioned that talking to a Saab engineer, his statement was the limit for front wheel drive cars really to be effective is about 220 horsepower. This one has 250 out of a 2.3 liter, presumably turbocharged engine.
I mean, I guess it's the limit if you don't do something special with it. There's tons of cars with more than that. Even currently, at the time of this segment, cars with more than that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I understand his logic, and especially back then when the electronic nannies are not so given. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose so.
So yeah, as I said, this definitely was a turbocharged 2.3 liter. So it's it had a decent amount of horsepower. It outperformed the 911 Turbo from the same era from 40 to 90 miles an hour.
I thought it was 40 to 70. I hate those little quips that they do.
It's so weird.
Just in second gear from 40 to 72, faster than some car you think is really fast, because that's the only time, for whatever reason. That's when we're in our power band and you have to shift. I don't know. It's dumb.
Yeah. The city of Aspen, Colorado used Saabs as patrol cars from the 70s until 2005. Then they switched over to the XC90, which Clarkson loves.
That's how very European of them.
Vail did it too, but in 05, again, because the 9.5 was discontinued in 05, sort of. It still sort of exists as like a zombie car, I think, but they switched them out to Ford Explorers.
How not very European of them.
No, man, this is a weird Wikipedia page.
Yeah, it's. I only have one thing to say about this. I guess two things. First is, did you see that cup holder?
I did not.
It's like a vertical cup holder. You push it, you push it in, it pops out, and then when it gets to its full extension, it turns sideways, and then it can hold your cup.
Oh yeah, that's so Saab.
That's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Second thing I have to say about Saabs, I guess we'll run through the stats. It's 27,000 pounds, 0 to 60 in about 6 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Top speed limited 155. Blah 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 blah. I covet Saabs, and I have no good reason why. There's something about them that I just like. My buddy back in college had an old 900 turbo, and it was a piece of crap. I loved it. I wanted it. I liked the styling. I liked those older ones. I like the key in the middle. It's dumb.
The key in the middle is rad. I like that one.
It's dumb, but I love it. That being said, that's the Saab I like. The newer Saabs, even yours, which wasn't even a Saab, it was just a badge.
It was a Subaru WRX. I've had 2 of those, by the way.
Which I like Subarus, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But like this one, not for me. But the old 900 turbos and stuff, I really like those. I'm looking at the page right now. Oh, it looks so good.
There's a couple good ones. I'm trying to think. All the Vigan editions, the 9.3, I always love that one. But yeah, what a weird company. It will come back in future segments because technically they don't exist anymore. They were like disbanded from GM and kind of sold off to a Chinese company for a bit, and it did not really expand into anything.
Nope, they're done and dusted. But I guess unfortunately for all of us involved, Jeff, it was the power lap of the episode.
Yeah, that was an oddball.
It's unfortunate, but let's throw it up on our Top Gear Rearview power rankings, where I'm sure it'll perform terribly. This car cost 27,000 pounds. It ended up doing a 137.9 not in the wet.
Bone dry.
Bone dry. So awful time.
Oof.
Real bad. So let's go ahead and jam in some desirability scores for this one, Jeff. I'm gonna go first this time.
Okay.
I always ask you. I'm giving it a 3. I don't like this car at all. I don't like the GM-ness of it. I don't like the rebranding of it the way that GM does, and it just doesn't do it for me. I wish it was. I liked it more, and I just can't with how much I like Saabs.
Yeah, I understand. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Yeah,
and that's only because of the center key. There's nothing else I like about this car. I like the 9.3 and a lot of its other things, and I like. Obviously, I like the 9.2X. I've had a couple of those, but and like the real Saabs of yore. But this one is just not for me.
Yeah. It's not that great.
No.
So that puts it 36th
I didn't realize we had that many cars on the list.
out of 40.
Okay.
So Turbo, an 84 score, just behind the Alfa Romeo 147 GTA.
All right.
Just one we haven't said a lot, and just ahead of the Bentley Arnage T.
Yeah.
It only
Which
beats
they actually did talk about the Bentley in this episode too.
They did, yeah. It only outperforms the Bentley, the Range Rover Overfinch, and the Suzuki Liana. So it does really poorly on the power rankings, mostly because it's really slow, and we both don't like it.
No, it's a sedan. Woo.
Yeah, and not a good one. It's a GM sedan.
I know, it's so GMified.
That's awful. Just
Now,
ruin everything.
one thing, I mean, that's the end of the episode. I want to throw one thing in here as a positive to this weird-ass episode that I believe at the end they all kind of said, oh, it was a nice episode. No, it was super boring. But there's no more used car garbage. All of Series 3 so far, not a single used car segment.
I think they've cut that for throwing Hammond into the water and stuff, I suppose.
Which, whatever. I mean, I'll take that. That's more entertaining.
For sure. It's
educational.
definitely more interesting. You learn some, too.
Yeah.
Not about mid-2000s used car prices in the UK.
I mean, as much fun as that would be coming, some odd 14 years later.
Doesn't do well for our podcast, really, does it, Jeff?
Not so timely.
Well, that's going to do it for us today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked the episode, maybe tell a friend about it, spread the word a little bit, or give us a subscription if you feel like we've earned it.
We have these episodes available on the YouTube as well. You can find us there just by searching Top Gear Rearview. Brady posts these up, so if that's your preferred listening method at work or whatnot, that is a good way to find us. We also have an email address if you have anything to add or questions for us at topgearrearview@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TopGearRearview, where we can respond to you, or you can check out our post about car stuff or Top Gear Power Rankings once they come out when the episode releases.
And that is going to do us for today. So on that note, we will see you all next week for Series 3, Episode 4.